Isaiah 16:6. We have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud, even of his haughtiness, and his pride and his wrath, but his lies shall not be so. Before getting on with this video, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. May Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai's peace be bestowed unto you, hopefully elect. I'm your brother Yahweh Call from Great Millstone, Orlando. Just dealing with this recent meeting between Trump, Xi Jinping, and the reference, which this isn't really new. But again, in light of the times that we're in, and the rising tensions, conflicts, escalations, specifically dealing with Babylon, Moab, so-called Chinese. Again, dealing with this meeting, it's just rather interesting as I'm watching, paying attention to it, because a part of the things being discussed in this meeting is the easing up of Taiwan, which Babylon is heavily invested in. All right, Taiwan is an ally to Babylon, and as the so-called Chinese are continuing to make their moves, and a part of the moves that they want to make is taking control, reclaiming the land of Taiwan, and both sides, it appears, they're not going to give in as far as what they're going to do as far as Taiwan. They're not going to ease up, so it's just going to be rather interesting. But that's just one of many things. But again, going back to this reference, and again, this isn't new. Some of you may know, most of you may not. But a part of this meeting, or a phrase that Xi Jinping he used, was going into the Thucydides trap, and he was pretty much saying, again, in light of all this tension, conflict, he used that phrase in reference to both of these, both parties being able to basically not go to war. Now, again, some of you may know, most of you don't, or may not know, Salakia. But going into this term, the Thucydides effect, or excuse me, the Thucydides trap, I believe it was an Athenian general. He pretty much referenced how, or he pretty much made the statement in not so many words, just about how, and this is why they call this the Thucydides trap, is basically when you have a empire that's currently in rulership, that's on the decline. At the same time, you have a rising empire. And basically this guy, his thing was to say that while this is going on, the current empire, whatever empire is ruling, and at the same time you have a rising empire, they're bound to go to war. Or rather, the likelihood of war breaking out is very highly. So this is what you call the Thucydides trap. And again, this isn't a new term, all right? Because you could just look up the different examples of the Thucydides trap throughout history. And the majority of those typically When you had this effect, most of the time, war ended up breaking out. So again, being at the times that we're in right now, and this guy Xi Jinping, he used this term, because I believe at the time you had the, oh man, if my memory serves me correct, I believe the Athens were the upcoming power, the rising power, and I believe it was the Spartans that were the current empire that was on the decline, if my memory serves me correct. But to fast forward to today, Babylon being the current empire that is on the decline, if I may say, if I may add. And of course, for sure, Moab, the so-called Chinese, they are a rising empire. But that's why I started off with this here. And again, in Isaiah 16, matter of fact, I'm going to start at 4. And let mine outcast dwell with thee, Moab. Be thou a covert to them from the face of the spoiler. For the extortioner is at an end. The spoiler ceaseth. The oppressors are consumed out of the land. And of course, we have Israelites that are over there. They look like, talk like, walk like. I can't say they act like, because our people have flavor. But nevertheless, our people are mixed and mingled amongst the so-called Chinese and all the other nations. But we are at the end of the spoiler. We are at the end of any and all heathen rulership. All right, verse 5. And in mercy shall the throne be established, and he shall sit upon it in truth in the tabernacles of David, judging and seeking judgment and hasting righteousness. So again, Yahweh Bashim Shah's kingdom is next to rule. All right, and that's just what it is. That's why, again, in verse 6, we have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud, even of his haughtiness and his pride and his wrath. But his lies shall not be so, because those so-called Chinese, they, for a long time, they've been thinking that they are next to rule. All right, but as read in verse 5a, we are in the establishing the throne of David. All right, Israel has next. Daniel 7 and 12. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time, because prophecy still has to be fulfilled. All right, but again, during this process, these different nations fighting, for the top spot. Again, Moab, they really think that they're next to rule. Verse 13 rather, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him, and there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So again, this is where we are currently in the process of, the paradigm of, because that's what, again, this guy Xi Jinping, he was going into this. Can we get past this because again, to pretty much throw shade at Babylon being the declining empire. And again, man, in a roundabout way, he was saying that, hey, Moab has got next to rule. So with that being said, in not so many words, Moab, they're pretty much saying, hey, man, we got next to rule, and hey, why don't y'all just give it up, man? That's pretty much, how I perceive in the spirit, that's pretty much what he was saying, man. Y'all just go ahead and give it up, man. Just give up the keys, dog. We got next. You know, just talking like a Jake, man. For Jake to understand, hey man, just go ahead and give up the keys, man. You know, y'all don't really want the smoke, right? But again, that's why I'm continuing to read this. Jump down to verse 6. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the people under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. So the government, the mountain of Israel, is going to be on top of all these little hills. All right. Israel has next. All right. Jeremiah 48:9. Give wings unto Moab, that it may flee and get away. For the cities thereof shall be desolate, without any to dwell therein. So, again, all right, and all these other nations at that, they're going to get their just due. But Israel has next. All right, we are, again, currently in this paradigm shift. That's what this guy was talking about. All right. We're in this paradigm, this current transition of power. That's what he mentioned. All right, he mentioned that paradigm. You know. But again, Moab is proud. All right. Israel, we have next to rule. 2 Edges 16:1. Woe be unto thee, O Babylon, and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. So basically, man, hey, and as I read in Daniel 7, Yahweh Shema Shai is coming to take over all this shit. All right. He's coming to take dominion from everyone. All right. The whole earth, all these nations. The Lord covers all bases. All right. You know, the continent of Africa, right? Asia, all that. The Lord wants all that. The Americas, the Lord wants all that. He's coming to take all that, man. So the Lord covers all bases. All right. But yeah, man, you know, just interesting reference. All right. Moab thing they got next to rule. They've been thinking that, but hey, you know, Yahweh Shema Shai is coming to collect all that and give it to his saints. And from there, Israel's going to rule forever. And again, the term is called the Thucydides trap. So, Lord willing, this was edifying. All praise to Yahweh Shema Shai. Shalom to you, hopefully.